I want to remind everybody that while I'm making these videos, I'm not necessarily speaking to what you are. I'm speaking to who you are. This is why so many different kinds of people all around the world will say that what I'm speaking on resonates with them so deeply and it reflects what they're going through. It's because I'm allowing the Holy Spirit to just move through me and for me to be a vessel for what God wants to speak to you. Because ultimately, this is not about me. It's about bringing about God's will and making sure people are actually growing in consciousness and are actually growing in awareness. Okay, so with that being said, this video is, I'm not sure what I'm going to title it exactly, but I do need your help because we're in a fight. Okay, and I'm not asking for donations, and I'm not asking for anything like that. I will never ask for donations. If you ever see anybody asking for donations on this channel, it is not me. Okay, but what I will ask is for people to like, comment, and subscribe, because that's going to be the best way to get this message out for people that need to hear this kind of a thing. You see, we live in a world that is full of deception and full of people that are scamming people and people that are just trying to manipulate their way into clout or manipulate their way into power. And that's just not how it works. That's not how life works. And if we are truly awakened enough, we're going to be able to see through this. We're going to be able to see that that's not true power, okay? It's not true power. Have you ever seen a lion? Have you ever truly seen a lion in real life? Like, not at the zoo or anything. You've seen a lion or you've seen some powerful animal, okay? They are just who they are. And you can tell that there's more power and oomph and real raw natural abilities in that animal, like a bear or a wolf or something too. I remember the first time I saw a wolf. It was in Yellowstone. It was this white wolf actually, and it was a pack, and they were attacking this deer, and we didn't actually see the deer or the elk or whatever it was being attacked, but we saw the carcass and they were eating on the carcass. And that was just one of the most surreal experiences. I don't know exactly why, but it was just so powerful because that was when I realized that nature really is brutal. And nature is naturally brutal. And it doesn't really have good and evil. It's rough, man. It's a rough go. And that's the kind of life that many of us who are on the spiritual path, that are really trying to walk the narrow path and the narrow way, are experiencing day to day. It's not always going to be physical, and it's not always going to be like people are eating our carcass or anything like that. But sometimes it can feel like we are truly being hunted as chosen ones. We are truly being hunted, and we are truly being preyed upon by these people. But it's all going to be whether or not you have gone through what you needed to go through and learned what you needed to learn to get to this point, and to get to these points in which you can actually live a more prosperous, fulfilling life. Because you're not going to be able to get to certain places or to do certain things without that. You're not going to be able to have those kinds of magnifying experiences and moments in life in which you feel that there's more of a heavenliness to your life until you go through hell. Make no mistake about it. Every single time that you elevate, there's going to be a ceiling to that. There's going to be a brick wall. Maybe it's not even going to be a brick wall to you. It might look like a window. Like, it might look like it goes forever, but sooner or later, if you start to rise, you're going to hit a spot where you can't go anymore. Well, in order to break through that barrier, you've got to go back down. You've got to go back down to hell. Okay, anybody here read Dante's Inferno? We did a 7 Deadly Sins class series in the Regal Change Academy a few months ago, and we read Dante's Inferno. And one of the most beautiful things about Dante's Inferno is you have to go through hell to get to heaven, okay? Dante had to be taken to each circle of hell. In the Dante's Inferno, there were 9 circles of hell to get to heaven on the other side. But when he came out on the other side, it was just the world again. It was just the world. Not to give any too big of a spoiler, but because everybody knows the story, but not a lot of people know the details. But that's the story. That's the motif. That's the metaphor. Well, what exactly does that mean? It means that if you are capable of living in this domain of apprehension as if it were paradise, just think about this for a second. If you are capable of living in this mode of being and this domain of apprehension as if it were paradise, how beautiful and how magnificent and how meaningful can your life be made to be? Think about that. In fact, you might need to pause this video and go think about that and sit on your bed for a moment and really contemplate this. Because this is the kinds of questions that people don't want to ask themselves. These are the kinds of questions that people don't want to think about. People don't want to think about how life is actually just like death is just right around the corner, and your life is not as long as you want to believe it is. Okay? Your life is not going to be as forever as you might live it to be. So many people waste their time. So many people are wasting their efforts. They're putting their efforts in things that don't matter. They're putting their thoughts in things and worries that don't matter. Worry, there's a great sage that once said that worry is preposterous. And I get questions sometimes with people in my community, or like the physical community that I'm in, or just in general, and they'll ask me, what are you worried about? What is the thing that really concerns you? It's like, I guess if you want to ask what worries me, technically, my biggest worry is that people are not going to see the kingdom of heaven. That's my biggest concern and worry. But who am I really to worry about that? I'm not. I mean, I want to be able to do as much good to the people as possible, and I want to provide and have as many provisions and resources for people available to actually grow their life. You see, here's the difference between me and a lot of different kinds of content creators or people in the world. I'm not promising you to get material wealth by following me or by liking my videos or anything like that, or being in the Regal Change Academy, doing one-on-one consultations. I'm not telling you that you're going to get rich. I've never made that kind of promise. But the thing that I can guarantee is that you're going to be able to critically think for yourself if you accept that there are things that you are participating in your life that is making you spiritually poor. Okay? If you can recognize that you are making spiritually poor decisions sometimes, and you have enough humility to accept that and to move forward, we can work together. Because I don't want to work with anybody that is not trying to live this life and to the best extent that they can. I don't want to work with people like that. I want to work with people that are about their business, doing things for the betterment of themselves. They're focused on themselves. Some of the people that I've known in the past, like I've collaborated with certain entrepreneurs and such in the past, not necessarily through YouTube and whatnot, but just people that I've known. And we're on such great terms that whenever we come together, we're not necessarily friends, but we can come together and we can build together, and then we go apart and we go our separate ways, and it's great. I mean, I don't really think about them much. Right now I'm thinking about them, but it's only because I'm talking about this topic here, but we don't really think about each other. But when we do come together, it's just like we never left. And we just pick up where we left off. Super easy, super simple. And the people that are always trying to stay up to date with everything every single day, I mean, that's great if you're in a tight-knit community and whatnot. I would actually encourage that. But for the people that you're actually like building a business with or whatnot, and you're collaborating, you have work to do, man. Like, you got work to do. And I don't necessarily have time, and I don't want to be around people that necessarily have time to rabble rouse is the correct term, I suppose. Rabble rouse all day to gossip and to do all these different things. I don't have time for this. I literally just don't have the time. And it's about allocating your time. It's about investing your time. If you can learn how to invest your time properly, you can do anything in this life. You can create anything in this life. And that's what's so cool. But you have to learn how the game works. You have to know how things actually are structured and what you need to do to get into the correct mindset. And you need to understand that this life that we live is far more valuable than you could ever possibly imagine. I still don't think that there's times where I'm as grateful as I could be, even though I'm immensely grateful for the opportunity of this life. I'm immensely grateful for God giving me this ability to reach as many people as I can through platforms or through my businesses or through the Regal Change Academy, etc. I'm so grateful for that. And in some ways, I feel as though I'm not doing enough for God. And it's because I know that eternity is at stake. The sake of my eternity is at stake because I know for a fact the soul is forever. I know for a fact that the soul will be eternal. And I can't prove that necessarily, because I don't necessarily need to prove that though. I don't necessarily need to prove that to you, especially if you can look inside yourself. If you can look inside yourself, you already know that what I'm talking about is completely true, because you already understand the proclivity that you must have to live a life in accordance to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God, as well as just having faith. We walk by faith, not by sight, and we have to continue with that mindset. And it's difficult for people like at one point myself, I considered to be a hyper intellectual, and I was considering myself to be more of a scholarly type than anything else. But I was very nihilistic though in my views. I was very nihilistic, and I was very haughty in different ways when it came to certain ideas and concepts. And I never want to be like that again, because it never really got me anywhere. And even though with God, there's so much more suffering, there's so much more discipline that has to go into place, there's so much sorrow about the knowledge that you get. However, there's so much more meaning. So much more meaning. Everything you do matters. And that can scare you, for sure. And it probably ought to scare you a little bit. But that's what's so cool, is that everything matters. And we're in this fight. Okay, we're going to always, as long as we are on this earth physically, we're going to be in a spiritual fight. Okay? And the reason that I know this is because that's how the way that it's always been. And that's how it's going to be until the second coming of Jesus Christ, as far as I'm concerned. And that's just the way that I live my life. And I live as if Jesus could show up any second. I don't think about it though. I'm not worried about that. People will always say, "Oh, Jesus is coming. It's like, yeah, he is. Until then, let's get to work. Until then, let's continue doing what we're doing, because it's not the case that faith is going to justify your works are going to be justifying your salvation. But if you don't have faith without works is dead, right? So you've got to have the faith and the works that show that. You will know them by their fruit, right? So anyways, guys, I hope this message was useful and insightful for you. Again, please like, comment, or subscribe. This is going to be really the next step to growing as a person and just together. We have to get this message out to as many people as possible, because as many people as possible need to hear this, that have ears to hear and eyes to see. Some people may not understand it, and that's fine. But I know for a fact that there are going to be a lot of people that do, and there are going to be a lot of people that resonate with this, and they don't know why. I've literally had people tell me that they don't know why they feel so drawn to me, because they don't like what I'm saying, but they also love it at the same time. And it's because that's God's presence. That's not me, okay? That's not my light. That's God's light shining through me. I'm being a vessel for God to reveal that unto you. All right. So if you do want to join a godly community, now's the time to join the Regal Change Academy. All right. Again, I'm not saying that you have to do this. I'm not asking you necessarily. This is an invitation. Okay. This is the part that I'm inviting you if you want to. And if you want to, we have the free Discord channel with free resources such as an ebook that you can have. There's a meditation guide, fitness guides, etc., as well as the godly community itself. Then we have the paid community. Now, the paid community is for people that are actually really hardcore. Like this is an elite spiritual academy. We have the brightest minds of my audience and the toughest people, the godlike savages and the warm, inviting, feminine, empathetic women in there. Okay. And we're doing a Legends of Stoicism class series right now. We have a weekly Bible study. We have a weekly Maps of the Psyche class that you can attend. We have a weekly Regal Assembly call. And then we've got a bunch of other classes available for you. And that's $20 a month. And the reason that I do it for $20 a month on a month-to-month basis is because I've seen people do their courses. It's like, oh, just pay $2,000 or $1,500 or $6,000 for my course and you'll get rich, or you'll get this, or you'll get that. That's not what I'm promising here. That's not what we're trying to do. This is a filtering mechanism and a paywall for the filtering mechanism to ensure that we're getting the best and the brightest people that actually want to join and that actually want to do something well with their lives. They understand that, yes, we need money, but it's not the most important thing. It's not that God doesn't hate you for wanting to be luxurious, but it's also the case that God doesn't want you to necessarily be in poverty either, or have a broke mindset. Okay. So with all that being said, I do hope that this information was useful and insightful for you. I also appreciate everybody moving from the YouTube platform over to X, Rumble, and Instagram recently. I appreciate your guys' extra support. And with all that being said, peace be with you all. Until next time.